In a surprising twist, what if a powerful military thought they were completely shielded from unexpected attacks? After capturing vast territories in Donetsk, Russia believed its soldiers were safe, nestled away in a stronghold amidst civilian infrastructure. But Ukraine had long been silently gathering intelligence, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That moment came. On September 8, the night sky was illuminated not by stars but by fiery explosions as Ukraine unleashed a barrage of Hell missiles. Each missile found its mark, obliterating Russian command centers and transforming once secure bases into smoldering wrecks. Reports from reputable outlets like Euromaidan Press confirmed that this was no random act of chaos but a calculated operation orchestrated by Ukrainian forces. As the dust settled, open-source intelligence groups, like Dnipro Osint and Cyber Barashno, unveiled the full scope of Ukraine's success. The strikes didn't just hit any targets, they decimated key installations of Russia's 41st Combined Arms Army and the elusive 20th Motorized Rifle Division. These centers were supposed to be hidden from prying eyes. Yet, Ukrainian intelligence's precision showcased a shocking reality: they had identified even the most clandestine bases. But the assault didn't halt there. Ukraine had other plans in store. Among the targeted locations was the Topaz factory, a former hub for civilian work now repurposed as a military command center for Russia. This sizable facility had become a strategic stronghold, essential for orchestrating further offensives and storing crucial military resources. Flash to the fateful night, Ukraine aimed with surgical precision. Evidence of the strike emerged from many angles, brought to light by social media users sharing videos that captured the chaos. One clip revealed multiple explosions erupting in sequence, sending plumes of smoke and fire into the night. It was clear, Ukraine employed something far more potent than standard drones this time. This was artillery with explosive power that turned the factory into an inferno. As the explosions rocked the area, a palpable tension filled the air, heavy with the smells of smoke and burning debris. Eyewitness accounts began to paint the scene. Among them, a young child's voice, narrating the moment from within an apartment building, provided a haunting backdrop: innocence juxtaposed against chaos. The escalating tension hinted that someone important might have been present at this critical moment. Reports surfaced indicating that high-ranking officials were likely coordinating inside the Topaz factory during the assault. The implications of this strike could resonate far beyond mere infrastructure damage. Could Ukraine have claimed a monumental victory? A significant blow to Russian military command? The landscape was forever altered. Each explosion was not merely destructive but symbolic, a rising declaration of Ukraine's capability and ambition. As the dust settled, a pivotal question emerged: what kind of advanced weaponry had been unleashed? Speculations arose, with insiders suggesting that Ukrainian forces boldly employed domestically produced missiles. The implications of such technology in the hands of Ukraine changed everything. The world watched and waited as the narrative unfolded, revealing deeper layers to this unfolding conflict. It was not just about ground warfare, it was a battle of wits, intelligence, and power. And Ukraine armed itself with both. What would the future hold for Donetsk and beyond? The battlefield had become a chessboard of unforeseen consequences, and all eyes were glued to the next move. In the chilling tale of warfare in occupied Donetsk, a surprise strike on the night of September 8 unfolded in a devastating manner. Ukraine delivered a powerful blow to two Russian command centers, revealing shocking truths about the capabilities of its arsenal. Not only did the strike strike fear into the hearts of Russian forces, but they also conveyed a poignant message: Ukraine's intelligence was sharper than Russia believed. With newfound resolve, Ukraine would not stop at just two successful hits. As fierce explosions echoed in the still night air, the Ukraine forces unleashed their fury upon the Topaz factory, a crucial hub for Russian military operations. This facility, long abandoned by its workforce, had become a headquarters for high-ranking commanders plotting their next moves. The very architecture that once served industrial purpose now bore witness to a storm of destruction. In the aftermath, video footage captured by a user known as Necromancer told the harrowing story of the attack. A minute-long reel illustrated the night sky illuminated by ominous bursts of flames, each explosion producing mushroom clouds that whispered of the destruction they brought. The shocking reality was that Ukraine had employed more than mere drones. this was a calculated assault using heavy artillery that sent out ripples of panic through Russia's military ranks. But what else lay beneath the surface of this operation? The videos told a story of ambition and sheer intent. With each strike, Ukraine was not just aiming for destruction, it was sending a clarion call. Russia had taken shelter in locations they believed were safe, but Ukraine's tactical insight belied that assumption. The headquarters, shrouded in secrecy, now lay in ruins, mere smoking craters in the landscape of war. Yet, Ukraine was far from finished. With the Topaz factory obliterated, they had struck at the heart of Russian command. The thrill of success mingled with a deep-rooted hunger for more. The night was only beginning, and more horrors awaited as the reality of the strike unfolded. Just what would be revealed next, and how would Russia respond to the burgeoning threat? The tension in the air hinted that the answer would be anything but predictable. As anticipation built, whispers about the nature of the weaponry used began to circulate. What exactly could deliver such destruction? All eyes turned toward the mysterious and powerful Peklo missile, which may have been responsible for wreaking havoc on the Russian defenses. Would this new weapon change the dynamics of the conflict forever? The stakes had reached new heights, and the battle for control of Donetsk was far from over. The night pulsed with uncertainty and dread as both sides braced for what lay ahead. Previously, we saw vivid footage of the Topaz factory under fire, explosions ripping through the site, each followed by eerie mushroom clouds. But what caused such devastating blasts? Ukraine didn't just send in ordinary drones this time. The explosions were massive, far beyond the usual strikes. Flames burned fiercely as thick smoke billowed upward from multiple points. This wasn't a scattered skirmish, it was a calculated, overwhelming assault. Something far more powerful had been unleashed. One video starts quietly inside a nearby apartment. A faint whiz echoes faintly, then a child's voice breaks through, innocent sounds clashing with the chaos beyond the window. Slowly, the camera shifts toward the Topaz factory. Moments of tense stillness pass, then boom. A deafening explosion erupts from the heart of the facility. As before, a mushroom cloud follows, ominous and haunting. Military analyst Kirilo Sazonov weighed in, confirming what many suspected: Topaz was not just any target. It was the crown jewel of Ukraine's midnight offensive on September 8. This Soviet-era military-industrial complex offered ample space, warehouses, workshops, plenty of room for troops and equipment. But most shockingly, it had also become a high command center. Sazonov hinted at commanders with very high shoulder boards operating from within. In other words, top Russian officers might have been caught in the blast, or at least, their hub was decimated. Could Ukraine have struck a major blow against the enemy's chain of command? The implications send chills through anyone watching the battle unfold. But what exactly did Ukraine use to shatter the Topaz fortress like this? If these weren't normal drones, then what weapons turned this strike into a fiery spectacle? And what does this mean for the future of the fight in Donetsk? The answers lie just ahead, and they will shake the battlefield to its core. Amidst the chaos surrounding Donetsk, one fateful night would change the course of events for the Russian military. Imagine this: a seemingly impenetrable fortress transformed into a shattered shell, as Ukrainian forces unleashed devastating strikes that left Russian commanders reeling. But what really happened under the cover of darkness? In an astonishing twist, it was revealed that the elusive Topaz factory, long thought to be safe, housed a command center for high-ranking Russian officials. An insider dropped a hint that highly ranked officers were at the facility during the strikes, igniting speculation about their fate as the Ukrainian forces closed in. Then came the videos, stirring the airwaves and sending shockwaves through military circles. One gripping clip captured a projectile soaring through the night sky, moving faster than any drone. With a flash, it struck the Topaz, resulting in an explosion that created monstrous clouds of smoke and fury, leaving viewers awestruck. But why were these specific strikes so catastrophic for Russia? The evidence began to pile up, hinting that Ukraine had deployed no ordinary weaponry. Sources began to suggest that Ukraine's arsenal included the formidable Peklo missiles, a domestically produced cruise missile designed for precision strikes. Reports from on-site witnesses indicated that at least 5 of these missiles engaged the enemy, raising an alarming question: could Ukraine's domestic capability pose a newfound threat to Russia? As footage of fiery mushroom clouds painted a stark image of destruction. It was clear Ukraine was not just fighting back, it was leading an offensive with unprecedented ferocity. What lay ahead for Russian forces stationed in Donetsk? As the embers of the Topaz factory smoldered, one truth emerged. Ukraine's commitment was unwavering, and its intelligence capabilities were sharper than ever. In this evolving battlefield, will Russia be able to adapt to the lightning-fast strikes of Ukrainian missiles, or are these the final days of their stronghold in Donetsk? Stay tuned, as the stakes get personal, and the fight for dominance reaches astonishing new heights. Imagine being in the heart of a city, its skyline punctuated by the harsh realities of war. On the night of September 8, as shadows lengthened in occupied Donetsk, a storm brewed in the sky. Russia, convinced of its safety, underestimated the power lying hidden within Ukraine's arsenal. With bases scattered and air defenses set, how could they have anticipated the fury that awaited them? In a stunning turn of events, Ukraine launched a calculated offensive, striking not just one, but multiple Russian command centers. Reports flood in about a series of precision strikes that sent shockwaves through Russian ranks. Command units, once believed to be shielded by civilian structures, were devoured by flames, leaving behind only remnants of a catastrophic night. Geolocation footage revealed the aftermath, dense gray clouds billowing into the sky, a telltale sign of destruction from a missile feared for its destructive capabilities. Yes, Ukraine had unleashed the Peklo missile, aptly named Hell. Imagery from the scene depicted jet-propelled missiles diving through the air, creating fiery orange eruptions upon impact. How many of these missiles were launched? At least 5, according to reports, all striking within a mere 30 seconds. Can you picture the panic? The air crackling as explosions rocked the very foundations of Russian command. The horror of war unfolded like a nightmare, but it highlighted how Ukraine had transformed from a nation on the defensive to one capable of unleashing relentless destruction. But here's the twist: the implications of such a show of force exceeded mere retaliation. Ukraine's capabilities are expanding. The Peklo, a new addition to its arsenal, signifies not just innovation but an alarming readiness to confront its adversaries with overwhelming power. And with those missiles, Ukraine promises a future painted with uncertainty for Russian forces. What will come next in this escalating conflict? As Ukraine continues to refine its tools of warfare, one thing becomes alarmingly clear: it is no longer just engaging, it's setting the stage for a dramatic showdown that could change the tides of battle. Will Russia be able to recover from this devastating strike, or has Ukraine unleashed a new era of warfare? Previously, we saw how Ukraine unleashed a fierce barrage of strikes deep inside occupied territory, shattering Russian command posts hidden within Donetsk. The devastation was not a fluke, it showed Ukraine's growing ability to penetrate Russia's air defenses with exquisite precision, delivering powerful blows using advanced, domestically built weaponry. Now, a burning question emerges: what exactly is the weapon behind this stunning display of firepower? What secrets lie within the deadly Peklo missile? The Peklo missile made its first confirmed appearance in late June, less than 3 months before it rained destruction on Russian forces. Imagine this: a weapon conceived, engineered, and mass-produced while a nation is waging war, a modern hybrid between a cruise missile and a drone, designed for speed and precision under fire. Resembling a small commercial jet, it is propelled by a miniature jet engine, propelling it to blistering speeds near 434 miles per hour. That speed grants it the reach to slice through enemy lines and strike targets deep behind Russian front lines, in other words, areas once thought safe and out of reach. But this missile is more than just a fast flyer. It carries an autonomous inertial navigation system that can be fine-tuned with GPS coordinates. Until now, understanding the battlefield's chaos, its creators are working to improve the missile's resilience against electronic warfare, including GPS jamming and signal spoofing by Russian forces. The missile's guidance is evolving, aiming to outsmart countermeasures that once limited precision strikes. Though details of its explosive payload remain officially under wraps, analysts estimate the Peklo's warhead packs around 50 kilograms, about 110 pounds, of destruction. This is no lightweight drone strike, it's a juggernaut built for serious damage. Perhaps even more striking is its origin: 70% of the components are made within Ukraine, crafting a weapon that is firmly homegrown, less reliant on imported parts than many others in the arsenal. This means Ukraine isn't just fighting, they are innovating in real time, creating tools of war on their own soil, with their own hands. So here's the tension that lingers in the air, a missile born from necessity, flying like a ghost through layers of defenses, bearing enough firepower to obliterate hardened targets. What does this mean for the already shaken Russian forces standing in Donetsk? Can these advanced weapons turn the tide further? Or will countermeasures catch up before the next salvo? The next chapter reveals even more surprises. What else will Ukraine unveil as it stakes its claim deep inside enemy-held territory? The battle is far from over, and the stakes have never been higher. In the chaotic landscape of Donetsk, an unexpected twist was brewing. Russia had thought it secured its foothold in regional strongholds. After all, how could Ukraine possibly reach them with their limited range? But on a tense night in early September, Ukraine tore through that illusion. With relentless precision, it launched a barrage that turned Russian command centers into blazing infernos, shaking the very foundation of their perceived safety. This was not just a strike, it was a statement. As the sun dipped below the horizon on September 8, what began as a whisper of conflict suddenly exploded into a deafening roar. Ukrainian forces hit not one but multiple Russian bases. From within the occupied territories, the people of Ukraine launched a barrage of Hell missiles, a weapon that, as its name implies, delivered devastation. Imagine the sky lighting up as Ukrainian drones and missiles unleashed hellfire on Russian command stations that had been thought to be safely hidden. The chaos that followed was horrific and beautiful. Footage emerged showing how Ukrainian intelligence pinpointed these military hubs, laying waste to them with staggering accuracy. The desolation that followed left a haunting reminder of the ruthless efficiency with which Ukraine operated. Moments turned into eternity as explosions rained down on Russian troop shelters that no one expected to be uncovered. But the stakes grew even higher. Nestled within the debris of the Topaz factory, a long-abandoned hub of machine and might, was a hidden army command center. It was said to house the highest-ranking officers of the Russian military. What would happen if their defenses faltered? And on that fateful night, the unanswered question hung heavy in the air. Did Russia's supposed impenetrable air defenses falter at a critical moment? The aftermath was surreal. Videos surfaced revealing the destruction. Huge fireballs erupted, leaving the factory cloaked in smoke. Witnesses were left gasping in awe, experiencing a sense of both dread and hope. How had Ukraine pulled this off with so little interference? Was it mere luck, or had they tapped into a well of intelligence that left their adversaries reeling? The world watched, noting the dissonance between what Russia claimed and the visual evidence capturing the chaos. State reports boasted of shooting down drones, yet the silence surrounding the strikes in Donetsk echoed louder than any boastful claim. The narrative was crumbling, and the truth seemed more frightening than any fiction. Ukraine had not just struck, it had written a new chapter in a war that many believed was winding down. And what of the formidable Peklo missile? This hybrid weapon, primarily constructed from Ukrainian materials, was less dependent on foreign suppliers, strengthening its presence on the battlefield. But its true strength raised a compelling question. How could such powerful missiles manage to penetrate Russian air defenses undetected? The answers remained elusive, buried beneath layers of propaganda and confusion. In the grip of uncertainty, one thing became clear: the battlefield was shifting. Ukraine had revealed its hand and displayed a fierce determination that promised to reshape the conflict. The stakes had never been higher, and as the potential for further unexpected engagements loomed, the question lingered: how long could Russia pretend its answers sufficed? Would Ukraine's victory in Donetsk ignite a wider flame, or spark a new wave of vengeance? The quiet before the storm was palpable, and the world held its breath. Earlier, we uncovered how Ukraine shattered Russia's command hubs deep inside Donetsk. That wasn't just a lucky strike, this blow could derail Russia's entire autumn campaign. Russia's leader, desperate to rebound from a failed summer push, is keen to command a new sweep toward key targets. What does this mean for the battle looming on the horizon? Putin aims to fix a summer disaster. His forces barely gained ground, capturing a mere 0.3% of Ukraine's land, while suffering staggering losses, between 30,000 and 35,000 troops wiped out in just a month. The prize remains Donetsk, especially the city of Pokrovsk, a fortress city that could open the gateway to Ukraine's heartland. Another key city, Kostiantynivka, stands in the way. Together, these targets form a crucial defense line, the bulwark holding back Russian advances. Elite naval and airborne forces have already been sent to Donetsk, signaling that Russia is preparing for a fierce offensive. The tension hangs thick in the air. Will Ukraine's defenses hold under the rising storm? The stakes could not be higher, as Putin's push grows more desperate with every failed attempt. Though summer's gains were minimal, Russia did manage to seize more terrain in recent months than the previous year, almost tripling occupied zones. Still, the cost in manpower and morale casts a heavy shadow over their supposed success. Has Putin merely traded territory for an irreplaceable loss of soldiers? Amid this bleak backdrop, Ukraine's precision strikes have carved out a dangerous problem for Russia. Destroying command centers is more than physical damage. It cuts the nerve connections. How can an army fight when its brain is aflame? This tactical knockout might slow or even shatter that autumn offensive before it truly begins. But can Ukraine maintain this momentum? Or will Russia regroup and strike back with even deadlier force? The next move in this deadly game could decide the fate of the entire region. What secrets lie behind the ruins of those command centers? And who might have been caught inside when fire rained down? As smoke rises over Donetsk, every action echoes louder, every explosion telling a story of struggle and survival. Russia expanded its hold over Ukrainian land dramatically this summer, capturing more than twice the territory it took during the same months last year. But despite these rapid gains, Russia's attempt to meet its summer goals has not fully succeeded. Still, this momentum might push its leadership to send even more troops into the battle during the fall, hoping to press their advantage especially around Donetsk. However, Donetsk's rugged landscape works against Russia. The city sits on high ground, forcing advancing troops downhill, a tough challenge for maintaining solid defensive lines. For Russia to launch effective attacks this fall, it relies heavily on functioning military command centers scattered throughout Donetsk. This is where Ukraine's recent strikes changed the game. On September 8, Ukraine obliterated 3 critical Russian bases, hubs for troop coordination and command. Not only did these attacks wipe out valuable soldiers, but they may have also eliminated top-ranking commanders who were orchestrating Russia's operations in the region. The result? Russia's autumn offensive in Donetsk will likely be faltering, weakened by the loss of both leadership and infrastructure. Ukraine's devastating precision on that night wasn't just about defense, it set the foundation for future counterattacks aimed at reclaiming lost ground. Imagine the tense nights in Donetsk. The air thick with tension. The faint hum of distant explosions. Ukrainian forces weren't just striking randomly, they hit with surgical accuracy, targeting command points Russia thought were hidden and safe. This wasn't luck, it was the product of strong intelligence work and increasingly advanced weaponry. Throughout the summer, Ukraine pushed back hard. Reports confirmed it halted Russian advances and even recovered key settlements near Pokrovsk. This steady reclaiming of territory isn't just a show of strength, it's essential for maintaining the strategic fortress around Donetsk. The stakes couldn't be higher. For Russia, losing command centers means chaos among their ranks. For Ukraine, it's a critical opening and a warning shot that their resolve and precision only grow sharper. The battle for Donetsk this fall promises to be fierce, but anyone betting on Russia's complete dominance might find themselves severely mistaken. What will Russia's response be now that their command structure lies in ruins? Can they rebuild fast enough to salvage their plans? The coming weeks will reveal just how deep these strikes cut and whether Ukraine is ready to follow through with its own offensive that could change the course of this conflict. In the tumultuous backdrop of Donetsk, a seemingly fortified stronghold of Russian forces, a dramatic shift unfolded that would challenge the very essence of military strategy. Confidence ran high among the Russian military, believing their positions were secure from Ukrainian retaliation. After all, how could Ukraine penetrate their defenses? They underestimated one key factor, the analytical prowess and determination of the Ukrainian forces. In a stunning turn of events that echoes through the orchestrated chaos of war, Ukraine launched a ferocious offensive, toppling Russian command centers with precision strikes from their newly sophisticated missile systems. Reports emerged on September 9, detailing how Ukrainian forces executed a series of surprise attacks, decimating Russian headquarters with calculated strikes that shattered the illusion of safety the occupiers once held. Imagine the scene, the night sky illuminated by fiery explosions as Ukraine's Hell missiles tore through enemy positions, reducing them to smoking ruins. These weren't mere random attacks, they were expertly planned strikes that revealed Ukraine's keen intelligence gathering. Russia thought they were shielded by civilian infrastructure in Donetsk, but Ukraine's missiles soared through defenses, finding their mark in a spectacular display of firepower. The aftermath of these assaults was overwhelmingly catastrophic for Russia's military. Intelligence indicated that combined Ukrainian efforts targeted the 41st Combined Arms Army and other strategic points, effectively annulling their anticipated strength for upcoming assaults. But this was just the beginning. The audacious nature of the attack didn't leave the situation static, it opened up vulnerabilities that Ukraine could exploit. As if that wasn't enough, Ukraine set its sights on the Topaz factory, previously a haven for Russian military command. This severely damaged facility, once bustling with strategic operations, became another victim of Ukraine's relentless campaign. Footage circulated, revealing an inferno in the heart of the factory, signaling a massive victory for the Ukrainian forces. The reveal was shocking. Ukraine utilized what appeared to be domestically produced missiles, likely the Peklo, also known as the Hell missile. Eyewitness accounts described the chilling beauty of the missiles as they arced through the night, raining down destruction upon the enemy. The reality hit hard. Ukraine was no longer simply defending, it was in the aggressive pursuit of reclaiming its territory. Various military analysts began to speculate on the implications of these strikes. Could the very high-ranking officials of the Russian military have been present in the Topaz factory during the onslaught? There was every indication that Ukraine's strikes were not only about destroying infrastructure but potentially targeting key figures, unsettling Russia's command structure even further. But against this backdrop of destruction and victory, Ukraine faced the ever-pressing question of sustainability. This surge of missile production and strategic innovation came with the heavy weight of impending offensives. With a targeted goal of producing 3,000 missiles by year's end. Ukraine was not just reacting but engaging in a calculated war of attrition, with the resolve to reclaim every inch of its embattled land. As tension builds, one wonders, how will Russia respond to these devastating blows? Will they fortify their defenses, or is a drawn-out conflict looming on the horizon? For Ukraine, the stakes could not be higher. Herein lies the battle for Donetsk, a war not just of the land, but of resilience, strategy, and the fight for freedom against overwhelming odds. Will Ukraine's offensive strategy turn the tide, or will it provoke a fierce retaliation in the unforgiving landscape of war? Only time would tell. In a dramatic shift on the battlefield, Ukraine is ramping up its missile production, aiming to manufacture 3,000 units by year's end. This ambitious target will enable Ukraine to strike deep into Russian-held territories, inflicting significant damage. By fostering a robust domestic missile industry, Ukraine seeks to liberate itself from dependence on NATO's approval, which has proven a bottleneck in utilizing Western-made long-range missiles against Russian targets. Since September 8, Ukraine's capabilities have been on full display, hinting at greater firepower to come. The forthcoming arsenal could include the Flamingo, a fearsome long-range missile expected to begin mass production this winter. This missile, with its formidable range and destructive potential, could shift the balance and leave Russia grappling with the remnants of its military might, reminiscent of a bygone era. What could this mean for the conflict going forward? Are we witnessing the birth of a new era in warfare that could redefine power dynamics in Eastern Europe? The stakes have never been higher, and the anticipation builds. Who knows how Russia will respond to this escalating situation? One thing is certain, the countdown to a game-changing moment has begun.